Happy Monday, everybody, and thanks for joining us here on the Daily Show, brought to you right here on Bowlers Network, where we are all trying to grow the sport we love, bowling. Hope everybody had a great weekend, no matter what holiday you celebrated. Happy Easter, happy Passover. I hope everybody had a great, comfortable weekend. Thank you, as always, to Farmers Union Insurance for stepping up to the plate from the very beginning and being one of our very first sponsors. We have a lot to chat about today. There was a lot going on. There's a lot going on in bowling in general. Jay, come on in there. We got a lot going on.
There is.
Oh
Happy
my gosh.
belated Easter to you, my dear.
Well, thank you. Thank you. PBA bowling could not have been any better yesterday. Let's start it off with Wichita State graduates, which crazy, crazy good bowling program. You had the reigning rookie of the year, bowling a current rookie of the year for their very first title. I don't know, Jay. Talk us through that championship match. What'd you see?
Well, first of all, that was awesome. It was an awesome, and I gotta say, just we want to go through our list of candidates for Rookie of the Year picks. I can't remember who I wrote down, but I'm pretty sure. Of course, I'm
It was
teasing.
Spencer Robars.
It was Spencer Robars.
Yeah. I have Brandon Bonta.
Yeah,
I have Brandon Bonta, so they got to be close somewhere. You know, Spencer may have picked up some ground, but yes, we both went with Wichita State bowlers. But talk us through what you saw out there.
Well, from beginning to end, it was a great event, starting out with EJ, going up against Chris Vi. Unfortunately for EJ, he's kind of struggled on the show this year. He just hasn't been able to, dominate, probably would be the better way to say what he's been doing in the last couple of years. But, it's kind of hard to do much when you run up against a 290. Chris Vi starting out, his look kind of went away a little bit. As the day got, started to go along. But that final match, I picked some clips of it where, he coming into the 10th frame, Spencer had to strike, and it was, I think the possibility at the end was like, what, 237 to 236 or something like that. Yeah, well, he left the six pin, came in a little tight. And then, going in with Ryan, he had to strike the first two for sure. And God, I might have my facts wrong here again, but if he struck out, he would have won by one pin. And Ryan,
he needed to double. He did need to double. Correct.
Yeah, right. Yep. And then that second shot, he just tugged it a little bit, came in high. And that poor kid has been, gosh, how many shows has he been on now? He's been on 4, maybe?
Three or four, I believe. Yeah.
3 or 4. Yeah. But, it's just a matter of time. He's knocking on the door and a matter of time before he gets in. And then once he gets in, he's going to start dominating. That kid has got remarkable talent.
Right. I think the rookie class last year and this year is undeniably two of the most talented rookie classes we've ever seen. I mean, Spencer, I have here, as a youth bowler, he held the record for the most 300s with 41 and 800s 22. He was the very first PBA junior champion as well. I mean, multiple Storm Youth Championship titles. They're just so prepared before they even get to college. And then again, attending Wichita State, there's no way you're not going to get better. We're going to see both of those young gentlemen back on TV. I do not want to hear from any keyboard warriors on the internet telling me how they have all the answers and how just whatever they want to say. No keyboard warriors. Both bowlers, extremely talented. There is a massive, massive pressure to win a national title and have to throw it for the cheese. And unless you've really stood in those shoes, which I can speak on that because I have, it is not an easy task. It is not an easy task at all. There's a lot that goes into it. And sometimes, luck isn't on your side. Sometimes luck is on your side. Sometimes the stars all align. But the more you knock on the door, the more opportunities you give yourself to win championships. And I would take that any day of the week than not getting to TV. So that's
Yeah.
my take on people who want to sit there and do this all day long about their words of wisdom. But with that being said, our guest today, one of the best human beings there are, one of my very good friends, a Wichita State graduate, uh, Billy Murphy, who is the director of bowling for Newman University, is our guest today. And we're going to talk a lot about collegiate bowling. So let's bring in Billy.
Hi, Billy.
And hi, Billy.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. Billy, I have a question for you, though. Before we even start college bowling, what was your take on the TV show watching these two young men who you have seen bowl? What was your take on it, the future of bowling?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, those two guys, Brandon Bonna, the rookie class is just so good. But watching those guys, watch Spencer for a long time. Ryan, who was playing other sports when he was younger, but when he came to Wichita State, the growth that he had over that time, I remember sending Chris a text his probably his junior year, and I was just like, hey man, he's getting it. Like, he is going to be really, really good at this. So just watching those two young men grow up and grow into the roles that they're growing into now, it's just been a lot of fun.
And I'm glad you brought that up because quickly before we move on, Ryan did not take bowling seriously till he was about, I think, a high school senior. High school senior. I mean, he always bowled, but he really took it seriously as a high school senior. His passion was basketball. So he dedicated himself to really putting in the time to be a part of what Wichita State is all about. So I'm glad you brought that up in the fact of showing someone's passion and work ethic. Thank you for doing that.
And if I could make
Billy,
a quick mention, real
yes,
quick on that,
yes,
I just want to say not only is he athletic, but Emma, Chris and Linda are just two of the finest people you'll ever meet, right? And they raised such a polite young man. And I think both of you would agree with that. I mean, his social skills and he's just so polite and so kind.
right.
So kudos to Chris and
Yeah.
Linda as parents, not just bowlers and athletes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Comes from a good set of genes, I guess you could say. Billy, 23 years when you sent that to me, I can't believe it. 23 years coaching that team. 4 years, you're part of the NCAA division. Talk a little bit, before we move on to so many other things, talk a little bit about Newman's bowling this past weekend. You had a chance to be a giant killer there. And what occurred?
Yeah, we did. It was really a great experience for our ladies. It's the first time we've got into the national tournament. And I really wasn't sure, what you're going to get from your athletes when you're in that moment for the first time, especially for a group like ours where we have one senior, one junior, and the rest of our ladies are sophomore and freshmen. So, but they came out, they weren't afraid of the environment at all. They bowled a pretty good first game against Wichita State. And then we went into hyperdrive. We bowled an incredible 5-game Baker set, won that one. So we're 1-1. And then we averaged 239 in the best of 7 match to win that first round. So it was a really great win for our program, for our ladies. We draw La Tech after that, and we really, our ball reaction wasn't quite as good. La Tech got us 2-0. We come back the next day. We have Wichita again. We lose the team game again. We really weren't great during that team game. But then the resilience of the young ladies we have came back. We win the 5-game Baker match. It kind of turned in the best of 7. We split a couple times at the end of the game to lose that first game by 3 pens. And the Shocks kind of took over after that. But I mean, amazing experience for our ladies. It's going to be a building block for them for the future. But for a small program that does not have the resources that some of the other schools do, it was a great season for us, 74 match wins for the year, which tied a school record. So that was awesome too. So just a great season for our ladies.
I love it because um, I'm always for, and I don't want to say you were an underdog. That's not it, because that's not the word I really want to say. But I maybe I root harder for the teams that are newer and maybe don't have as many resources, because I do think they have to overcome more obstacles, or different obstacles, I should say. And to see the growth in your team in the 4 years that you've been with NCAA, and to be in this situation, to be bowling Wichita and Louisiana Tech, is a testament to not only the program and the support that you've received, but also your coaching and the girls buying in to what you're setting forth as a program, as what your program is going to do moving forward. Talk a little bit about that, as in, bowling. I want you to talk about two things. How do you actually, is there a key to getting them to buy in to what you have to do to move forward? And number two, what is that biggest difference between coaching the men's team versus the women's team?
Yeah, the buy-in to a program, I mean, it really starts in the recruiting process. We're very transparent with how we do things, how we want our program to be, how we want each other to get along with each other. Because the team chemistry, especially for a small D2 program, if you have good team chemistry, anything is possible, honestly. And our ladies and our men, for that matter, have just totally bought in to the fact that everybody that is in our program is important. No matter what level of play they're at. Our upperclassmen do a really good job of bringing the underclassmen in, and when freshmen and sophomores come in, the upperclassmen are just very diligent about, hey, this is how we do things. And so that has put us in a really good place as far as going out and competing against the bigger D1s. This year I think we were 10-11 going into postseason against D1s. We were or top 10 teams. We were 12-13 against Conference USA, one of the best D1 conferences in the country. So we just do a really good job of trying to be transparent when we bring the kids on campus, so they know what they're walking into. You get into the differences and all the acronyms. Bowling is such a unique sport where you have NCAA, NAIA, the JUCO schools have their own national championship, and then you have a club level, and all of them are under the USBC umbrella, or can choose to be. And so you have 4 different national championships, and then you have the USBC, the ITCs at the end. And some of the NCAA programs choose to bowl both, some don't. So, but the biggest difference that I see between the acronyms, the NCAA, you cannot be an NAIA program and go compete at NCAA tournaments. You can have an NAIA tournament, and they're still letting other acronyms go bowl those tournaments if there's availability. So that would be the biggest difference as far as competition. The biggest difference in competition between the group is the formatting. The NCAA, having 3 days instead of 2-day tournaments, but you go through the NCAA tournament and you have 5-game Baker day where you bowl 5 matches, a 5-game Baker. Then the second day is traditional team games. And then the third day, most of the time you go into a best of 7 bracket. And the NCAA is doing an incredible job of training and preparing the athletes for postseason. Because you are competing in those three different skill sets. So when you get to postseason in these mega matches, you're prepared for what's going to happen when you get to postseason. On the USBC side, they have 2-day tournaments, but they're still bowling 60% of their action is team games, and 40% is Baker. When you go to postseason on the USBC side, you're going to sectionals and it's 64 Baker games. So, some of that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I've been a very big proponent of just bowling Baker games on the USBC side, because I think that ultimately that would prepare the athletes better for the postseason. So,
let me interject there just 1 second, because Jay, I have a question for you. But Billy, I agree with you. And it's so funny you said that about Baker versus traditional. I had a conversation this weekend with two. One was a coach, one was a parent, but they bowled college. They said the same thing. They said they felt that the Baker matches and the mixture of the 5-game total, the best of 7, does prepare them better for the end of the year, the postseason. Where the team games, they wish they would get rid of all the just regular team games, and just do the 5-game totals and best of 7s. Because really, that's what it's all about at the end of the season. Jay, you've bowled a long time. What is your favorite thing to bowl? Is it Baker or a regular team game?
Well, that's going to depend on a couple of things, but I like Baker. I think it's fun. I think it puts, as the individual bowler, you feel more pressure than you do if you have an entire game. You basically have two frames, and again, as the player, you feel way more pressure than you do in an entire team format. So personally, I like the Baker format because, like I said, it's way more exciting and you feel more part of something.
I agree with that. I've always been a big Baker fan anyway. I do. You get 2 shots, you got to make them the best shots you can. Everyone's involved. I love the 2 things that you said: team chemistry and everyone is important. No one is made to feel lesser than, and I absolutely love that. Billy, you've coached. Newman has both a men's team and a women's team. So coaching style, I would assume, has to be a little different. What are some of the biggest things that you see that you have to handle differently between coaching the men's team and the women's team?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of things, but when you go to start training, that's kind of the biggest difference. The guys is more of a power game, and not to say that there aren't ladies that have ultimate power, because there are now with the two-handers that have come into the game. Danielle Henderson, Maggie Toma, the ladies are just fantastic. But with the men, you're just trying to get them in the right area with the right ball and then let them do their thing. Um, with the with the women, I think the women's game is a little more precise. I think if you're watching women's bowling at the professional level or the college level, you're going to see how they do things is a lot different. If you're watching their body language when they throw good shots, they're still looking down at their foot to see where they slid. So they're getting the data back, right? So if you go up and throw a good shot and you leave the big 4, if you slid 3 right of where you were on a strike, you automatically know that was a physical thing and not necessarily the lane changing. And on the NCA side, it's imperative to have all that data. We do a lot of charting on the women's side of where they're crossing at the arrows and the exit points and where they're sliding, because those matches are so important. The win-loss is so important on the NCA side, where on the USC side, you're bowling a bunch of team games and you're bowling Bakers, and it's it's total pens. And so there isn't such a sense of urgency sometimes on that side, where on the NCA side, you got to have the data and you got to make decisions fast. And so a lot of that charting goes into how quickly you make ball changes, how quickly you're making lane changes. Um, and I think some of that is just the format as well, right? There's just a huge
Right.
difference in format. On the guy side, you're really just trying to get them in the right zone and let them do their thing.
Well, so one of the things I've always wondered too, and Jay, after Billy answers this, I'd like your opinion as well, because you've done some coaching. I always feel the women always think it's them. I threw it bad. I threw it bad. No, sometimes you just have bad reaction, right? Or no, you really threw that one good. It just hooked early. It's time to make a move. Men have the tendency, I'm not saying they don't ever say they throw it bad, but because they get away with more, I think they're more readily available to just go grab another ball or move on the lane. Where the women, it's I can fix it or I've got to throw it better. I don't know if it's blame or I don't know. I just always felt like women, maybe they're a little bit harder on themselves. I don't know, because they don't feel like they can create as much. What do you see in that aspect?
Yeah, I see a lot of that. It still gets back to the power of the game, though. Like on the men's side, um, I I think men don't worry about posting a shot as much as the ladies do. Uh, but with the ladies, I mean, posting that shot is imperative to leverage and all the things, right? And keeping it online. And I think the window of success is a lot more precise on the ladies' side for just that, right? But then you get into the perfectionism, and now you're talking about the mental game and what's going on inside the head. Guys think they're going to strike every shot, and if they don't, it might not be them. It's just the pins could be set up wrong. Whatever it is. But when the ladies make a mistake, they do tend to blame themselves a little bit more, but that's also why the data points are so important. Because if like we chart it every shot, where they cross, what their exit point is, and then if they come back to me and I know they threw a good shot, but they got a bad result, and they come back and they're like, "Hey, coach, I just threw that bad, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Really? Like you aced it? You ran right over your targets." And you left a 4 pin. Like, let's just make a move here and throw it good again and keep trucking on. But they do
Right.
have a tendency to blame themselves a little bit sometimes.
I agree with that. Jay, you've coached and you've bowled mixed doubles tournaments. What do you see? Do you feel like women or your doubles partner would blame themselves differently than when you're bowling with them than you would blame yourself? Do you see that with men and women?
I think it's still a personal thing. I don't know that I really notice a whole lot of difference between men and women. Some people just are more inclined to be that way. Now, when you go to coaching youth, that is a different question. And I think if you watch college, women and women's teams, and they are way more supportive, and they cheer every single one. The other ones that aren't throwing tend to be like actual cheerleaders. I mean, they are really into it. Men maybe are a little more subdued and more more into themselves and in the zone personally. So I see more kind of like more community support
Okay.
from the women's side. But again, I could be wrong. This is just stuff that I have observed personally. So men typically think they can always overpower a mistake. Women, I really agree, are way more precise. They're way more mechanical. And yeah, so I prefer myself. I prefer to watch the women's side because it is so precision. Excuse me. It is so precise, and it is also so mechanical in a good way, is what I'm saying.
Right. And I've agreed with that. I just think their fundamentals for the average bowler, especially, fundamentals are a little more easily incorporated into that game because their fundamentals are just so much more traditional, except with the obviously introduction of two-handed bowling and things like that. Of course, it's a little different, and we're going to see much more of that. Billy, before we let you go, I have one more question for you. What is the best way? What advice can we give parents out there? What is the best way for them to um, maybe give their kid the best potential to be recruited? Is there just a website? Should they send videos? Bowl as many tournaments as they can? What's some advice we could give those parents out there when it comes to the recruiting process?
Yeah, honestly, I would tell you your first step is to find universities that have what you want to be. If you are choosing between two schools and one of them doesn't have your major and one of them does, it makes that decision a lot easier. There are so many athletes that are just going to programs. And when they get there, they don't necessarily have their major, but then they try to manufacture one. I think they need to choose a university that has what they want to do in life. Um, but how to get there, right? Like email coaches. Coaches are out recruiting, a junior gold and main event and a couple other things, uh, but they're not going to see every player. I just talked to a young lady 2 weeks ago that wasn't getting. She didn't feel like she was getting a lot of responses from coaches. They weren't seeing her at tournaments. So she just took it on herself to start reaching out to the schools that had her major, and started visiting that way. I think there are a lot of young people that are out there and doing it. Uh, but the best way to do it is find the schools that have your major and reach out to those coaches and start the conversation.
I love it because coaches, they are willing to answer your questions. I know there's such a misconception out there. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, this one said they already had enough people. Stop. Reach out to the coach and tell them what you're interested in and that you're interested in their university. They are more than happy to guide you through the process and let you know what you have to offer. Well, Billy, I cannot thank you for your time. You're one of my
Thanks,
favorite
Billy.
human beings. Huge Newman supporter. Go Jets, go Jets, go Jets. Congratulations on a great season. I love watching the women as well as the men just get better and stronger every year. Hats off to you for, oh my God, I just still can't believe it's 23 years. Where has the time gone, my friend?
Um,
Where? It's craziness. But thank you so much. Continued success at Newman. And we look forward to talking with you again.
Thanks,
for
Billy.
having me. Have a good one.
All right.
So, Jay, before we even get into our Mythbusters, before we even get into it,
Okay.
love the fact, I just want to touch on this. Team chemistry, totally important.
Yep.
Don't care whether you're in the lineup or not. It's about the team, not about the individual bowler. Two, everyone on that team is important. Everyone serves a purpose, whether it's being the leader, being the motivator, having the loudest chant, the person running to get the bowling balls, whatever it be. Every single person on that team adds up to equal chemistry.
Yep.
And I think we need to remember that a little bit more often when we're all in the back watching, as we all know. Jay, we talked about a lot of stuff today. We have some new people that joined us here on Bowlers Network. We have Sarah Clausen. We have Mindset Gear. So make sure to check all of them out. Mythbuster, really quickly. Why don't you intro it there, Jay? Go for it.
Mythbuster, question being, the question is, should my swing plane, we're talking about swing planes, straight back, straight forward. People talk about keep your shoulders square and your swing plane straight out, straight forward. Well, think about that for a second. If you do, you're going to hit your hip. Okay? The answer can be yes and it can be no. Okay? So your approach, your footwork, you got to clear that hip. You got to open that hip up. So, and so I'm just going to say confirmed and busted at the same time. So it depends. So you go ahead.
I say we go 50-50. I agree. Straight swing. If you have a straight swing, it gets back tucked in next to you and it is straight and you can repeat it don't mess with it. But I've seen some funky swings in my lifetime that at the end, they get it back next to their body and do magical things. So I agree with you. Swing planes are quite different for each other, but at the end, it needs to get closer to your body and do the same thing over and over again. You want less moving parts. Jay, this has been awesome. We talked about college bowling, one of my favorite things. We talked about a Mythbuster. We are going to continue to talk about PBA, PWBA, which will be starting up here in little less than over a month. Thank you for joining us today here on The Daily Show. We look forward to seeing everybody on Wednesday. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Bowlers Network. We'll see you on Wednesday, 12 Central Time.